Shalom, everybody.
Shalom.
L'chaim, l'chaim. Baruch atah Eloheinu Eloheinu Malkeinu be'ir pi hagofen.
Amen.
Okay, so we started last time chapter 8 of Tanya. We're discussing these spiritual consequences of different actions and how it's connected with our spiritual structure, with the spiritual structure of the universe, the worlds, how different things coming from different layers of, so to speak, the other side, how they affect us on different levels. So we started with again, another illustration to the concept of Isur, right? Prohibition. That it's called Isur, which literally means incarcerated, grabbed, that there's no way, we have no ability and possibility to elevate it, because the divine spark which animates it, gives it existence and life, is grabbed by the forces of other side, Sitra Ochra, and it cannot be released by our direct, let's say, action, be it consumption of the food or something else. And the consequence is much more severe than in the case of using something permissible, something which is allowed by the law, but using it just for our selfish reasons, for animalistic reasons, which is also, like I said, it's also not good for us spiritually speaking, but it's fixable. When the person does tshuva, just first level tshuva, so to speak, regrets and improves his actions, then not only he elevates this spark at that moment, it's also this spark flying up, elevated spark, drags along all those others which were not elevated due to his selfish or animalistic intentions, which is not the case with the prohibited food. If the person, even in the case, it's so severe that even in the case when the person, let's say, eats non-kosher food without even recognizing that it's something treif, he cannot, with all the intentions, he wants to serve Hashem using this energy derived from the food, the spark is not being elevated because it's osur, grabbed, incarcerated. And that brought us to the conversation about different types of Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. The Jewish Yetzer Hara, so to speak, the Jewish demon, and non-Jewish demon, meaning that lust, that desire, and that Yetzer Hara is something foreign for us. It's not organically part of us, like desire for something which is allowed, but we can misuse it. But when we have to say we immerse ourselves too deep into indulging in a permissible things, that might affect our nature so severely, put us low so much, that we can get in touch with the negative spiritual influence, which is foreign, so to speak, to our nature. That's what's called foreign demons, and this is Yetzer Hara to something which is prohibited. Okay, so that's the slide we stopped at, right? Last time. Okay, Mashenken Yetzer Hara v'kei hamisavel dvarim atorim l'man istavosi hu sheit meshedim Yehudayu lefi sheyochel lachzer lekdusha kedalielu. On the other hand, the evil impulse, the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, and the craving force after the permissible things to satisfy an appetite and so on, is a demon of Jewish demons, for it can be reverted to holiness, as explained above. Okay. Yeah, but let me finish it because it's connected with the next one. Ach mikol mokim koidem shechozer ligdusha hu misitra ochra klipa. Nevertheless, before it has reverted to holiness, it is sitra ochra and klipa. Before the person does Kedusha and elevates this spark, it's connected to the other side, giving to the other side the vitality which flows through our soul, and making the person affected by the impurity of the other side. V'gam achar kach harshimo mimeno nishar dovak baguf liyis ki mikol machal u'mashkenaz tekiv dam uvosar psori. And even afterwards, even after the person does Kedusha and elevates the spark, a trace of it, of this impurity, of this tumah of the other side, remains attached to the body. Not because it's so dirty that it's you cannot wash it off. It's more serious. Since from each item of food and drink are immediately formed blood and flesh of his own body. He used this substance not only to satisfy the appetite and lust and desire, but also as bricks to form his own body. And since the material was impure, you can wash something when the dirt stacks onto. But if the dirt is already part of it, you can only wait till the cells will be not separated, changed to the new ones. Regenerated, but this is not the case. And the body built from those bricks. So this certain trace of this impurity stays with his body. V'lachin tzarich haguf lechibud hakever lenakois letare mitumasi shekibel behanos olam haze v'ta'anug of mitumas klipas nega v'shedim yidoyim. That is why the body must undergo the purgatory of the grave. Literally, it sounds like hibud hakever literally means beating in the grave. Means the pain which body goes through the decay in the grave, but which cause certain pain to the soul as a purification for that pleasures, physical pleasures, which he derived during lifetime on earth. Again, this is very important insight. Yes, it's kind of mentioning this. It's kind of introduction into the topic of what happens in afterlife to the soul, the consequences of the sins. That's what few next paragraphs will be talking about. But this introduction gives us very interesting insight. Very often we hear the term punishment. For these sins, you'll be punished. If not immediately, then in afterlife, in the Gehenna, in the purgatory, and so on. You'll burn in hell, and so on. Reincarnations, it's something else. That's the chance to rectify, to fix the damage, and maybe to avoid additional punishments for the soul. But again, look, it's not exactly punishment. It's a consequence of violating the rules of safety. That's essentially what mitzvahs are in some sense. Right? Any device you buy comes with the manual. Why do you need it? To know how to use the device the most effective way and how to avoid damage to the device and to the user. Similarly, this world also has a manual, the Torah, which Hashem gave us, in order to make sure that it will reach the goal of the creation, and the damage would be avoided. Because by violating these rules, the person, especially the Jew, causes damage to the world, as we learned before, giving power to the forces of evil, and causing damage to his soul, stains his soul. And from these stains, so to speak, his soul, before entering Gan Eden, has to be purified. So it's not exactly punishment in the legal meaning.
But can you stay in Gan Eden forever?
It's a consequence. Very as such an exclusion. Normally speaking, no. It's a temporary process to cleanse the soul, to enable the soul to enter Gan Eden. Because as a result of all these sins, it's so stained that it cannot come to the Gan Eden.
So if you have enjoyment here, you're not gonna have enjoyment. But if you have like enjoyment like here, like in this world, then you're gonna be like not that much enjoyment up there. But if you don't have any enjoyment here, then you're gonna have up there.
This is not the accurate correlation. It's not being calculated. Okay, you already had enjoyment in this world, so we won't give you any enjoyment in the Gan Eden. It works in a different way. The enjoyment here, if it was just for purpose of enjoyment, without any holy side added to it, like pleasure of doing mitzvah, or pleasure on Shabbos, which becomes mitzvah, becomes holy. If it's just for these selfish reasons, then it stains your soul. It's been reflected in the fact that in the case of food, that your body was built from the stained bricks, so to speak, and our body is a projection of our soul on the screen of this physical reality, so to speak. So, one of the consequences is that this body, which has traces of impurity, should go through decay, which purifies the soul. And it's painful. It's painful, when you clean something using chemicals. That's not such a big pleasure. Okay. Only one who had derived no enjoyment from this world all his life, as was the case with our saint master Rabbi Eli is spared this. So that's why the holy people, tzaddikim, their body after passing, they remain intact in the graves, because there is no need for that purification. They were not stained by this impurity. Okay. Another example of such a spiritual consequences. Okay, we spoke about the permissible food. What could be the consequences is if you use it just for pleasure. Now, as for the innocent idle chatter, talking about conversation, right? By the way, speech is one of the most valuable and powerful tools given to us. That's why humankind, in Kabbalistic terms, is called medaber. Those who have ability to talk. It's a very precious gift, but it's also could be very powerful weapon, which could be used for good or not. That's why Torah regulates the way how we should use this tool. So if we're talking about something not forbidden, just neutral conversation or neutral, not dirty jokes, whatever, such as in the case of ignoramus, who cannot study, the person not very bright, not very smart, cannot expect too much from him. So you cannot blame him too much that he's not using all his time to study the divine wisdom and so on. He's not capable too much. But he could use the time given to him smarter than just chatting and saying nonsense or whatever. So in this case, there is a consequence. He must undergo a cleansing of his soul. It still stains the soul. And therefore, his soul must be purified after passing. He must undergo ignoramus who cannot study. He has to go through cleansing of his soul to rid of the uncleanness, of this impurity, of this klipa. Al yidei gilgula bekava kela, mashikosa bezor parshas b'shalach. Through being rolled in the hollow of sling, kafa kela, as it's stated in the Zohar, parshas b'shalach. What is kafa kela? What is sling? What is sling?
Sling is you're talking about a slingshot or a sling that holds your arm?
Sling which David HaMelech, King David, used to kill Goliath.
It's a weapon.
Some throwing tool. Apparatus, yes. This is the mystical term, so to speak, to so-called type of punishment. Again, anytime I mentioned I'm using this word punishment, we should put it in the quotation marks, right? Because we explained already. It's not getting even with us. It's not really punishing. It's part of purification. Yes. So this type of purification, this type of punishment, is called slingshot because essentially it means, as has been explained in the books of Kabbalah, the soul is being thrown very high up to the highest levels in spiritual realms to show what the person could reach, what he could achieve if he wouldn't be wasting time being here. And you can imagine what kind of result it brings to the soul. How painful it is to the soul to see what it could achieve but haven't. That's the hole of a sling. So how would you not summarize it? It's nothing to summarize yet. But how would you call the feeling of the soul as a result of this punishment? Embarrassment. Jealousness. This is an unknown term for me. Shame. And this is the key word to understand the concept of this cleansing and punishment. The pain, which is being
regret.
Regret for sure, but shame is more exact, and it's more painful for the soul, and this pain brings the purification. Okay, let's continue. Aval, lidiburim asurim, kmoi liitzonos veloshon horo, keitzvahem, shehem misholish klipis at meis legamri, en kafakela levadi moel litaher olaviri tumosi mehanefesh, rak tzricha leirit legehenam. But with regard to forbidden speech, you see the difference, right? Again, we compare on one hand something permissible, just misused, right, with something essentially forbidden, connected with the impure, three completely impure klippas. First, we compared on the level of the food, right? Something on the level of inner consumption. Now we're talking about the speech, and we show two groups of speech. Something not prohibited, idle talk, but he's wasting time. And now we bring as an example something forbidden speech. But with regards to forbidden speech, is scoffing and slander and the like, making fun of someone, slandering, what do you call bad mouthing, which is prohibited by the law. Since it's prohibited, it's rooted in the three completely evil, impure klippas, and therefore, this hollow of sling by itself is not enough to purify. It's not only waste of time. Instead of doing something more productive, he's slandering. No, it's much more severe. It's much more severe. And therefore, it's not enough to cleanse and remove the uncleanness of the soul, but it must descend into Gehenna. This fiery place, which many heard of, but many picture it as, hot place with the demons frying sinners on the frying pans and so on. But it's much worse. It's much worse. It's much more painful for the soul. But let's continue. Then we'll try to summarize the whole topic. What could be a more severe situation? Maybe not more severe, but similar to that, but more severe than the case of ignoramus, who is not very capable of study. So he's, instead of studying and doing something productive, he's just chatting and practicing idle talk. But in the case who is able to, he's given brain to study and ability and so on, so that's what expected from him, more than from another person. Nevertheless, he occupies himself instead with frivolous things. The hollow of sling cannot itself effectively score and cleanse his soul. Rak unshen chamurim hamanishim al bitul teira bifrotos milvad oinej akloli lechol bitul mitzvas asay nechamas atzlos begehinam shel shelet kimur b'makam acher. Okay, so too he is able to engage in the Torah study, but occupies himself instead with frivolous things. The hollow sling cannot itself effectively cleanse his soul, but severe penalties are meted out for neglect of the Torah, in particular, apart from the general retribution for the neglect of the positive commandment through indolence, namely in the purgatory of snow, the Gehenna of snow, as it's explained elsewhere. So here we see there are different types of Gehenna. This is Gehenna of snow, and so what kind of Gehenna was mentioned before?
Fire.
Of fire.
Why didn't it point out purgatory of fire?
Because it's
like
the purgatory
Purgatory of snow.
of snow. That's the place where the soul comes to be purified for the neglecting of the positive commandments.
Is it like freezing? Like you freeze to death? Is that how it cleans it?
Already dead. You freeze to life.
Like the demons are firing people, firing fans in hell, and then
What do you think?
I think you're speared on the tip of a mountain.
This is first of all, we're talking about spiritual place, spiritual realms. So whatever terms are being used to describe, should not be taken literally. It's a symbolic description which conveys certain message. We can understand that the way how the soul is being purified in that place is different, or similarly opposite to the way how it's being cleansed in the regular Gehenna, fiery Gehenna. But first, let's summarize what we said. First of all, whatever we spoke, it's not the overview of afterlife, overview of Gehenna and system of the purification. It's needed for our conversation, but since we already learned it through, let's summarize what we just learned, and I'll try to give some fundamental, how to say, underlining to understand on the, if not essential level, but at least on a deeper level. So okay, so you see different types of sins we mentioned. I made a separate column for trying to single out the problem of that specific type of misdeeds, right? And the consequence, the way how it's being purified. And the general approach is that the way the person behaves, that's how the behavior he's facing in return. So the way of punishment, how he's being punished, mirrors the nature of his misdeed. The way of cleansing is similar in essence to the problem which lays on the bottom of his mistakes. Okay, so food consumed for pleasure, right? What's the problem? Trace of it remains attached to the body. The body, it materialized. The spiritual damage being materialized. So what's the purification? Decay of the body, which is very painful to the soul, because the soul feels everything which happens with the body, at least in the first stages after passing. Now, next level, innocent idle chatter of the person from whom you cannot expect too much, because otherwise it's more severe, like we mentioned before. So what's the problem? Still, time wasted. Time is the most precious commodity which we have in this world. It's given to us to accomplish things which give to the soul tremendous opportunities. Initially, soul doesn't want to come into this world. The soul doesn't want to leave the heavenly resort where it exists before. But coming closer, it feels the benefits which the soul can achieve in this world, because it's infinite opportunities for the soul. It can achieve elevation incomparable to the level it comes from into this world. So wasting the time is quite a severe crime for the soul. And therefore, the way how the soul is being cleansed, through working the regret and shame. How is it being achieved? The soul is being shown, you could be here, you could accomplish so much, you could achieve that, the level so high. That's what is called throwing by the sling. Because when we're talking about the pain which purifies the soul, the essence of this pain is shame. And interestingly, I read the accounts of some people who lived through after-death experience, and many of them describe visions of being like in a huge hall with the eyes, many eyes watching, and feeling the shame, like being naked in front of so many viewers, which also resembles the idea which we mentioned before about the garments of the soul. Every mitzvah, every accomplishment creates additional garment to the soul, which enables it to perceive the revelation of godliness in the Gan Eden. So being naked, it's already shame. But even as a human, we cannot completely understand this concept, being human beings, material creatures, but to some extent we can. Because sometimes the person experiences such a shame that he would rather have his limb cut. He would rather live through physical pain to avoid, this experience, that that person would rather have his hand cut off instead of living through this situation. Because the shame could be, even for the living person, the shame could be so painful, so bad, and that's what the soul feels in the purgatory. That's what cleanses. Remorse and shame felt as a result of the mistakes. So in this case, this shame comes from realization. What chances were lost? How much could be accomplished and achieved, and it all was wasted. Another level, we mentioned forbidden speech. Not just idle talk, but forbidden speech, something forbidden. It's different situations, not only time wasted. The person does something which contradicts the will of God to derive some pleasure. He feels the lust, he is enthusiastic, right, towards doing these things because he feels that he can benefit from it. Be it money stolen or whatever, another pleasure derived from something forbidden. You see, there is an excitement here. High temperature, so to speak. Therefore, the purification is through the shame, but it's even in our reality, we can see different types of shame. Sometimes a person feels like he's burning out of shame, right? And sometimes he feels so frustrated, so devastated by the shame, like the blood flows away from his face, and it's rather cold. So it kind of illustrates. I'm not trying to give you the exact description. I cannot, but some symbols, some examples, because that's the essence of this purification. Shame. So it could be burning shame in the burning hell, so to speak, as a result from burning enthusiasm, from getting pleasures from something forbidden. Or the other types of sin is we know there are two types of mitzvahs. Mitzvahs asay, the prescriptions, do so and so, and prohibitions, avoid doing so and so. So with violating of the prohibitions we just mentioned. But what about neglecting the mitzvahs? Prescribed.
Hold to the time to thinking.
Exactly. Be lazy, indifferent, careless, whatever. It's different temperature, so to speak. And therefore, the purification of punishment is in the Gehenna of snow. It's a shame, but of different type. Mm-hmm. Frozen shame, so to speak. Okay, let's stop here today. L'chaim, l'chaim. On this positive note, let's make l'chaim.